In the quiet corners of the grand Sterling mansion, Grandma Helen has spent the better part of 20 years weaving herself into the fabric of the family's daily life. She's been the silent witness to the rise and fall of the family she's served, her footsteps echoing through the halls as she carefully dusts the surfaces, cleans the windows, and prepares meals with love. Yet it's never just dust she's been cleaning up. Behind every perfectly set table and every gleaming countertop lies the untold story of devotion and sacrifice, her quiet battle against a world that's changing, and the silent wounds left by those she thought she could trust. As her son, Ryan, becomes more involved with a younger woman, Grandma begins to sense a growing tension in the house, one that quietly gnaws at her. The fiancée, Chloe, isn't who she seems. Beneath her flawless exterior lies a dangerous ambition, and Helen is determined to keep her family safe, even if it means facing a threat she can't fully understand. The Sterling mansion is a place of faded grandeur. Its once grandiose chandeliers now gather dust, and the polished wooden floors creak under the weight of years. The garden outside, once a vibrant display of color and life, has now become more of a memory than a reality. Yet for Grandma Helen, the mansion is still home. It holds the echoes of her laughter, her tears, and her tireless work. She spent years cleaning up after the messes of others, both physical and emotional. Helen has lived in the background, a constant presence, yet never fully seen, her role never truly acknowledged. Her devotion to Ryan, her son by choice, has been unwavering. She's loved him as her own, raising him after his parents tragically passed away in a car crash. Despite her quiet, sometimes invisible role in the family, it's clear that without her, the house would have crumbled long ago. Yet, over time, Helen has seen the family dynamic shift. The mansion's halls, once filled with laughter and love, are now suffused with a quieter, more tense atmosphere. Ryan, her son, has begun to pull away from her, leaving her to manage everything behind the scenes. And then there's Chloe, the fiancée. Chloe's arrival has unsettled Helen in ways she can't quite put her finger on. On the surface, Chloe seems like the perfect woman for Ryan. Beautiful, charming, and ambitious, she quickly becomes the center of his world. But to Helen, Chloe's bright smile is nothing more than a mask, a well-crafted facade that hides something darker beneath. Helen may be silent, but she's never blind to the growing tension between the two women in the house, the one who birthed him, and the one who aims to take him from her. Helen's bond with Ryan is deeper than the connection between a housekeeper and her employer. She raised him after the tragedy that took his parents. Her hands have bathed him, held him, and wiped away his tears. She has watched him grow from an insecure, grieving boy into a successful businessman, all the while silently sacrificing her own life to care for him. She's never asked for much in return, only a place in his heart and his life. But now, as Chloe moves in, something shifts. Ryan is more distant, more preoccupied with the woman who has come into his life like a whirlwind. Helen finds herself once again in the background, a silent observer of a family she's dedicated her life to. The familiar house is no longer just a sanctuary for Ryan and her. It's becoming a battleground. And though Helen hasn't yet fully understood what Chloe's true intentions are, one thing is certain. She will not allow the woman to tear apart the family she's spent years building, no matter the cost. Chloe, Ryan's new fiancée, has quickly become the darling of the Sterling family's social scene. With her stunning beauty, quick wit, and polished charm, she seamlessly integrated into their lives as if she had always belonged. Dinner parties, charity events, and family gatherings are now incomplete without her presence. She knows exactly what to say to win everyone over. But as much as she dazzles the outside world, Grandma Helen sees something different. There's a coldness in Chloe's eyes when she thinks no one's watching, a calculated smile that hides a deeper, more calculating nature. She's not just fitting in, she's taking control. For Ryan, everything seems perfect. He's head over heels in love with Chloe. And to him, She is the answer to everything he's been missing in his life. He's a man who spent too many years haunted by grief and loneliness. Chloe's arrival has breathed new life into him, and he's eager to share his future with her. But for Helen, the woman who raised him, things aren't so simple. She watches with quiet concern as Chloe expertly distances Ryan from her, subtly undermining the bond they once shared. The dinner table conversations, once filled with warmth and laughter, now feel strained, with Chloe taking more and more of Ryan's attention. Helen's presence seems to be less and less required. As Ryan becomes more absorbed in his relationship with Chloe, Helen is left alone, tending to the house in silence, her heart aching with the subtle shifts in the dynamic. Chloe's smile remains as bright as ever, but there's something behind it that Helen can't quite put her finger on. The fiancé's charm is more than just social grace. It's a weapon, and Ryan is the target. Grandma's suspicions about Chloe's motives grow with each passing day. It starts with small, seemingly innocent things. A subtle change in Ryan's behavior, a shift in his priorities. He begins canceling plans with his mother, leaving her to manage the household on her own. Chloe is always by his side, a constant presence that Helen can no longer ignore. Helen notices the way Chloe whispers to Ryan in private moments, how she subtly manipulates his opinions, feeding him doubts about the family's future, about his past, and about his connection with the people who've always loved him. The fiancé's influence over Ryan is growing stronger, and Helen feels herself slipping further from his life. The most telling sign comes when Chloe starts to accuse Helen of jealousy. The first time it happens, Helen brushes it off as a misunderstanding. But it's no accident. Chloe knows exactly how to turn Ryan against her, casting Helen in the role of the bitter, possessive figure. When Chloe makes a comment about how he doesn't need her anymore, it cuts deep, but Helen says nothing. She watches silently as the woman she's come to distrust begins to take over Ryan's life, making decisions for him, even in matters that used to be Helen's domain. The more Chloe manipulates, the more Helen's doubts about her intentions grow. What started as a subtle sense of unease is now a sharp, gnawing fear. Chloe isn't just after Ryan's heart. She's after something more, and Grandma knows it. There's more at stake than love, and Chloe's game is won. Helen is determined to stop before it's too late. Unable to remain silent any longer, Helen decides to confront Ryan. She waits until the house is quiet, the noise of the day having settled into the background, and calls him into the kitchen. He's preoccupied, his mind clearly elsewhere, but when he sees the serious expression on Helen's face, he knows something's wrong. "Ryan," she begins, her voice firm, but filled with the care only a mother figure could have. "I need to talk to you about Chloe. I don't trust her." Her heart pounds as the words leave her mouth. It's a delicate balance, warning her son without pushing him away, without seeming like a meddling old woman. Ryan looks up, his brow furrowing. He's shocked, more at the audacity of the accusation than the content itself. "What are you talking about, Helen?" "Chloe's wonderful. She's perfect for me." Helen takes a deep breath, trying to remain calm, trying to find the words that will make him see what she sees. "I've watched her, Ryan. She's too good at getting under your skin. She's driving a wedge between us, and you don't even see it." Ryan shakes his head, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "I don't know what you're talking about. She loves me, Helen. She's everything I've been looking for." "I'm not saying she doesn't love you," Helen says, her voice softer now but still urgent. "But her love is controlling, Ryan. She's isolating you from the people who care about you. She's manipulating you." For a moment, Ryan stands in silence, caught between his loyalty to Chloe and his love for the woman who raised him. But then, as quickly as it came, the doubt vanishes. "You're just jealous," he finally says, his voice growing defensive. "You're worried she's going to take me away from you. But I'm an adult. I can make my own decisions." Helen's heart sinks, but she holds her ground. I just want what's best for you, Ryan. Please, think about what you're doing. I don't want to see you hurt. Ryan shakes his head, frustration flooding his features. I've made up my mind, Helen. Please don't do this. The conversation ends with no resolution, and as Ryan walks away, Grandma's heart aches. She's failed to make him see the truth, at least for now. But she won't give up. She knows the truth, and she's determined to protect her family, even if it means standing alone against a force more powerful than she ever imagined. Chloe may have won this round, but the battle is far from over. The honeymoon phase of Ryan and Chloe's relationship has long passed, and in its place, a dangerous game of control begins to unfold. Chloe, with her charm and allure, now knows exactly how to manipulate her surroundings to her advantage, and the first target of her strategy is Helen. Subtle at first, Chloe's efforts to discredit Grandma are becoming more direct. The fiancé often whispers in Ryan's ear about Helen's overbearing nature, suggesting that Grandma is holding on too tight to him, as though Helen's love for him is more possessive than protective. It begins with small comments, like the casual suggestion that maybe Helen should retire and enjoy her later years, as if her decades of service were something to be put aside. But it's the insidious way Chloe plays on Ryan's guilt and doubt that strikes a more dangerous chord. She tells him that Helen doesn't want to see him happy, that she resents him moving on with someone else, and that perhaps Grandma's overprotectiveness is clouding his judgment. Ryan, still emotionally vulnerable after years of losing his parents, starts to question everything he's known. The foundation of trust that once existed between him and Helen begins to crack under Chloe's whispered lies. Chloe knows exactly how to shift the dynamic. She works behind the scenes, subtly isolating Ryan from his roots, making him believe that his loyalty should lie with her now, not the family that's always supported him. She poisons his mind with thoughts of freedom from his past, suggesting that the family is holding him back from a new, brighter future. And the more she speaks, the more Ryan, in his naivete, begins to pull away from the woman who had always been his anchor. Helen watches, silent as always, but her eyes miss nothing. She notices the subtle ways Chloe undermines her, from the pointed looks to the soft-spoken comments that leave a lasting sting. Helen's once secure place in the family is slipping away, replaced by an uncomfortable distance that she cannot explain. Every time she enters a room, she feels the weight of Chloe's gaze, calculating, cold, and judgmental. There are no more friendly conversations, no more invitations to join Ryan and Chloe for dinner or a walk through the garden. Chloe has succeeded in her silent coup, pushing Helen further into the shadows of the mansion she once called home. But Grandma is no fool. She has watched this kind of manipulation before, back in her younger years when people far less skilled tried to worm their way into power. Chloe's game is clear, and Helen can't shake the feeling that something darker is at play. The fiancé isn't just after Ryan's heart. She's after the family's wealth, their history, their legacy. Chloe has made it known that she's ready to become the woman who calls the shots, to take control of everything Ryan has worked for, everything Helen has spent years protecting. Helen doesn't confront Ryan. Not yet. She knows that any direct accusation would only drive him further into Chloe's arms. Instead, she takes to quietly observing, picking up on small signs. Chloe's furtive glances toward the safe where important documents are kept. The way she acts too familiar with the family lawyer. How she seems to have all the answers when financial decisions are made. Every little moment fuels Grandma's suspicions. The fiancé's smile, though charming, no longer fools her. Chloe is playing a game, and Helen is beginning to realize that the stakes are far higher than she ever imagined. One evening, after Ryan has gone out for a meeting, Helen decides to take her usual walk through the house to clear her mind. She passes by Ryan's office, the door slightly ajar, and hears low voices coming from inside. Her curiosity gets the better of her, and she stops, instinctively peeking through the crack in the door. What she sees makes her blood run cold. Chloe is sitting at Ryan's desk, her back to the door, speaking into a phone with a voice low and measured, as if she knows no one is listening. Yes, I have full access to his financial records now. I can get into the offshore accounts once we're married. The company's holdings are extensive. We'll need to be careful, though. I'll need to get the documents from the safe once he's out of the house again. You know how to handle the rest. The lawyer is already on board. Helen feels her heart pound in her chest. Every word cuts deeper than the last. Chloe isn't just talking about a future with Ryan. She's talking about a calculated plan to steal from him, to take everything the Sterling family has built. She's not just manipulating him, she's orchestrating a heist. Helen's mind races as she steps back quietly, making sure not to alert Chloe to her presence. Her instincts have been right all along, but now she has proof, solid evidence of Chloe's true intentions. Grandma knows she has to act fast before Chloe's plans come to fruition. But as she retreats into the shadows, one thought lingers. Can she get Ryan to believe her before it's too late? The battle for the family's future has only just begun. Grandma Helen's suspicion of Chloe has been growing for weeks, and the pieces of the puzzle are finally starting to fit together in a way that is impossible to ignore. Chloe's charm, her calculated manipulation of Ryan, and her sudden authority in family matters, all of it points to a well-planned scheme. Helen, with her years of experience in observing human nature, knows that she can no longer stay silent. It's not just the occasional strange comment or the cold glares from Chloe that unsettle her anymore. It's the sheer certainty in her gut that this woman is out to destroy everything the Sterling family has built. The only way to confirm her suspicions is to investigate further, to dig into the fiancé's past, and uncover whatever secrets she's been hiding. Helen begins her silent investigation. She's always been a caretaker, not a detective. But in these desperate times, she has no choice. Every night after Ryan has gone to bed, or when Chloe is out shopping or visiting friends, Helen sifts through old papers, scrolls through public records, and tracks down any information about Chloe's past that she can find. What she uncovers shocks her. Chloe has a history of manipulating wealthy men, creating the illusion of love to gain access to their assets. She's not just some unlucky woman who happened to meet Ryan. She's part of a pattern, a ruthless pattern of deceit. Helen's heart aches as she sees the chilling connections. This isn't just about love. This is about a calculated theft, one that could ruin her son's life and everything he's worked for. One evening, while cleaning the guest room that Chloe has started using more frequently, Helen stumbles upon something that seals her suspicions. A phone hidden under a loose floorboard in the closet. It's an old burner phone, one that doesn't match the sleek, expensive iPhones Chloe always carries. Something about it feels off, and Helen's hands tremble as she picks it up. She hesitates for only a moment before turning it on, praying she's not about to make a terrible mistake. The phone powers up, and Helen's heart skips a beat when she sees a string of unread messages. She scrolls through them, her eyes widening with every word. The texts are from someone named Jason, someone she's never heard of before. As she reads, the true extent of Chloe's manipulation becomes clear. There are details about Ryan's financial accounts, plans to marry him and secure his wealth, and most damning of all, explicit instructions on how to exploit Ryan's vulnerability for financial gain. In one particularly damning message, Jason writes, "Once we're married, we'll have access to everything, bank accounts, business assets. You'll have him wrapped around your finger. Just don't let him know what we're really after. The key is the inheritance. Get it all, then let him fall apart. We'll clean him out and move on to the next one." Helen's stomach churns as she reads the chilling words. This is more than betrayal. It's calculated cruelty. Chloe isn't just after Ryan's love. She's after everything he has. She's planned to destroy him slowly, to tear apart everything he holds dear, just to secure her own wealth. It's not just a love story. It's a heist, one Helen cannot ignore. Helen feels her entire world tilt as she absorbs the weight of what she's uncovered. She's no longer just a housekeeper. She's the guardian of a broken family, one that has already been shattered by betrayal once before. The old ghosts of loss and hurt resurface in her mind as she stares at the burner phone, unsure what to do with the damning evidence in her hands. Her love for Ryan burns bright, but so does her need to protect him, even from himself. She can't bear the thought of him being hurt again, not after everything he's already been through. But to expose Chloe means breaking his trust. How can she reveal the truth without causing irreparable harm to her son? How can she stop the woman who has so skillfully wormed her way into his life without destroying everything in the process? In these moments of silence, Helen feels the weight of the decision settle on her shoulders. To act is to risk everything, but to do nothing is to allow the fiancé to get away with her plan. She knows that she can't let Chloe destroy Ryan, but the cost of doing what must be done is so high. Will he ever forgive her for taking such drastic measures? Will he understand that this is all for his own good? Helen takes a deep breath, her heart heavy with the weight of what lies ahead. She knows what must be done. She will expose Chloe's betrayal, but she will do it with care, with love, and with the kind of quiet strength that has kept her going for years. No matter the cost, she will protect her family, because that is what a mother does, even when the truth is too painful to bear. With trembling hands, Helen begins to plan her next steps. The fiancé's time is running out, and Grandma is ready to bring the truth into the light, no matter the cost. The house is eerily silent, the usual hum of activity replaced by a tense stillness. Grandma Helen stands in the heart of the Sterling mansion, her mind racing with the gravity of the decision she's about to make. The burner phone, with its damning messages, rests in her hands like an anchor, a piece of evidence that could either save her family or shatter it forever. Her hands are steady, but her heart pounds as she prepares to confront Ryan. She knows this moment will change everything. If he believes her, if he understands that every action she's taken has been out of love and loyalty, then perhaps they can stop Chloe's plans before it's too late. But if Ryan refuses to trust her, if he sides with Chloe, then everything Helen has worked for, the family she's given her life to, could be lost. She waits for Ryan to come down from his office. It's late, and he's been working into the night, his exhaustion visible on his face when he finally steps into the living room. He smiles at her, but it's a smile tinged with concern, as if he sensed something amiss. "Helen, what's going on?" he asks, his voice softer than usual. "Sit down, Ryan. I need to talk to you," Helen says, her voice steady, but the weight of the moment settling in her chest. "I found something. Something that you need to see. Something that proves what I've been telling you about Chloe." Ryan furrows his brow, sensing the seriousness of her tone. "What are you talking about? What's going on?" Helen takes a deep breath and places the burner phone in front of him on the coffee table. She sits back, her eyes never leaving him, as if willing him to understand. "This is Chloe's phone. I found it hidden in her room. There are messages here. Messages that show exactly what she's been planning, Ryan. She's been manipulating you. It's all about your wealth. She doesn't love you. She's after everything you have." Ryan's face hardens as he picks up the phone, his fingers trembling slightly as he scrolls through the messages. His eyes flicker between the screen and Helen's face, disbelief painting his expression. The words are clear, damning, and yet a part of him refuses to accept what he's reading. "Is this real?" Ryan murmurs, his voice distant. "This can't be right, Helen. You're telling me that Chloe has been playing me all this time?" Helen's heart sinks, but she stays calm. "It's all here, Ryan. She's been playing you for your wealth, just like she's done to every other man she's been with. This isn't love. This is manipulation. You can see it with your own eyes." Ryan slams the phone down on the table, his hands shaking. "Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why didn't you warn me about her from the beginning?" His voice is sharp now, a mix of anger and confusion. Why should I believe you? You've been acting like this woman is some kind of monster. But you're the one who's been keeping me away from her. You've been jealous, haven't you? You're afraid that she's taking me away from you. Helen's heart breaks at his words. She's never wanted to keep him from anyone. She's only ever wanted to protect him. But she doesn't have time to explain herself right now. Ryan, listen to me. This isn't jealousy. This is about you. This is about protecting you from someone who wants to tear your life apart. Chloe isn't who she says she is. She's been playing you from the start, and now it's too late. Ryan stands up, pacing the room, his hands running through his hair. No, I can't believe this. I can't believe you would lie to me like this. Chloe is the woman I love. She's been nothing but kind to me. Helen watches him, her heart heavy. She knows she can't make him see the truth, not yet. But she also knows this is only the beginning. The seeds of doubt have been planted. And whether Ryan believes it or not, the truth is slowly starting to creep in. For the next few days, the tension in the house is unbearable. Ryan avoids Helen, retreating into his office, leaving her to navigate the mansion in silence. He's angry, confused, and torn between the woman he loves and the woman who raised him. Chloe, for her part, continues to weave her web of lies, playing the victim, convincing Ryan that Helen is simply trying to drive a wedge between them out of jealousy. I don't know why she's doing this. Ryan, Chloe says one evening, her voice full of feigned hurt as she sits next to him on the couch. I've never done anything to upset her. She's always been so controlling. I thought we could have a family together. But if she's going to keep this up, I don't know how we can move forward. Ryan looks at her, the seed of doubt taking root in his mind. I don't want to lose you, Chloe, but I don't know what to think anymore. She's been in my life for so long. But maybe you're right. Maybe I need to trust you more. Chloe smiles, her eyes gleaming with triumph. You have to trust me, Ryan. I love you. I want what's best for you. And for us. The tension in the house rises to a boiling point. Helen knows she has to act. If she doesn't, Chloe will succeed in tearing them apart, and Ryan will never be the same. That night, Helen makes her decision. She can't wait any longer. She's already seen what Chloe is capable of, and she knows that she has to expose her now, or risk losing Ryan forever. She'll confront Chloe directly, and this time, it will either end in victory or ruin everything. Helen watches Chloe from the kitchen window as she paces the garden, making phone calls, whispering secrets into the dark. The time has come for the final confrontation. Helen takes a deep breath, steadying herself, and walks toward the door. She has the evidence. She has the truth. And she's ready to use it. But as she steps outside, she sees Chloe turn toward her, a cold, calculating smile on her lips. I've been expecting you, Helen, Chloe says, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Helen's eyes narrow as she steps forward, her voice steady and unwavering. It's over, Chloe. I know what you've been doing. And I'm not going to let you destroy my family. Chloe's smile falters for a moment, but she quickly recovers, stepping closer. You think you can stop me? You're nothing, Helen. Just an old housekeeper who's been living in the shadows. But I've won. Ryan is mine now. The tension is palpable as Helen stands her ground, the final showdown about to unfold. In this moment, it's all or nothing. And Helen knows that no matter the outcome, she'll protect Ryan, because that's what family does. And the game is far from over. The house feels quieter than usual, as if the walls themselves are holding their breath. Grandma Helen moves through the mansion with the precision of someone who has spent decades in its halls. But today, there's a new purpose to her steps. This isn't just another day of housekeeping. Today, she's setting a trap. She knows Chloe's patterns now, her weaknesses, her insecurities. Chloe has always been careful, always playing the victim in front of Ryan. But Grandma has seen the cracks in her armor. It's time to expose them. Helen waits for the right moment, studying Chloe's movements, carefully orchestrating her actions to guide the fiancé into a position where the truth can't help but spill out. The plan is simple but dangerous. She will lure Chloe into a conversation where she feels in control, where she believes she has the upper hand. The fiancé will think she's manipulating Helen, but in reality, Helen is the one pulling the strings. It's a game of wits, one that could either destroy everything or, if done correctly, force Chloe to reveal her true intentions. Helen waits in the study, her hands resting on the desk as she silently rehearses what she will say. She watches the clock tick down to the moment Chloe will come through the door. When she does, Helen is ready. This is it. Chloe enters the study, her footsteps light, the fake sweetness in her smile barely hidden behind a layer of suspicion. She's gotten used to watching Helen closely, but today, there's something different in her eyes. She senses the tension, though she can't quite place it. The stage is set, and Helen knows it's only a matter of time before Chloe makes a mistake. "Good evening, Helen," Chloe says, walking in and shutting the door behind her. "What's this about? I assume this isn't another one of your warnings about me." Helen straightens, the faintest smile crossing her lips. She's in control now. "No warnings, Chloe, I just wanted to talk. You've been so quiet lately. I thought we might have a conversation." Chloe arches an eyebrow, her curiosity piqued but her confidence unshaken. "A conversation? About what? I don't see much to discuss." Helen steps closer, her voice calm, but carrying a weight of authority. "About Ryan, about you, about everything you've been hiding." For the first time, Chloe hesitates, just a fraction of a second too long. The mask slips, and for the briefest moment, Helen sees the fiancé's true colors. The faintest glimmer of nervousness that she quickly hides behind her usual composure. But Helen has already seen it. She knows Chloe's games, and now it's time to play. "You've been doing a good job, Chloe," Helen continues, her tone almost conversational. "You've managed to convince Ryan of everything you wanted. But you've forgotten one thing. Ryan isn't the only one who knows him. I do too, and I know exactly what you've been planning." Chloe's smile falters, but she forces herself to laugh. "Planning? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just trying to make him happy. You know, the same thing I've been doing all along." Helen watches her closely, noticing the way Chloe's fingers twitch at her side, betraying her discomfort. She leans in, her voice low. "But it's not about making him happy, is it? It's about taking everything from him. The company, the wealth. You want it all, Chloe." Chloe stiffens, but she quickly recovers. "That's a pretty bold accusation, Helen. You think I'd do something like that?" Helen smiles, her eyes sharp. "I think you've already done it. You've manipulated him. You've made him believe you love him. But your love has a price, doesn't it? And you've been trying to claim it." For a moment there's silence. The tension in the room thickens as Chloe's composure cracks, revealing just a hint of panic. But Helen isn't finished. "Tell me, Chloe, how do you plan to take control of everything? What's your next move? Or are you just waiting for Ryan to make you his queen? Too bad it's not going to work out the way you planned." Chloe's smile falters again, more pronounced this time. Her facade is cracking under the weight of Helen's words. She steps back, her voice rising in frustration. "You don't know anything, Helen. You've been in this house for far too long, pretending to be a part of the family, but you're nothing. You're just a housekeeper. And nobody. Ryan is mine. I'm going to marry him, and nothing you do will stop that." Helen's eyes narrow. "You think you have it all figured out, don't you? But you're wrong, Chloe. I've seen women like you before. You think you can manipulate everyone around you, that your charm will carry you through. But Ryan will see through you eventually, and when he does, it will be too late." Chloe's lips tremble, and for the first time, Helen sees the true fear behind her eyes. She's losing control. "You don't know what you're talking about," Chloe spits, stepping forward. "I'll have everything I've ever wanted. He's already mine, and soon he'll be completely mine. You think you can stop me? You think you can expose me? You don't have the courage." That's when Helen strikes. With one swift movement, she pulls out the burner phone, placing it on the table between them. I don't need courage, Chloe. I've already done what you couldn't. I've gathered the evidence. And now everyone will know the truth about you. This phone proves everything. Chloe freezes, her eyes locked on the phone, the realization hitting her like a wave. She starts, but the words die in her throat. Helen leans forward, her voice steady. I know everything, Chloe. I know what you've been planning, how you've been using Ryan. I know the texts, the lies, the manipulations, and it's all going to come out. You don't control this house anymore. I do. Chloe's face pales, her facade crumbling completely. No, you can't, she stammers, her confidence evaporating as Helen turns the tables on her. I already have, Helen says, her voice cold and resolute. It's over, Chloe. Your game ends here. The fiancée takes a step back, her breath shallow, her face now painted with a mix of fear and fury. But Helen stands tall, unwavering, as the weight of the trap she's set finally sinks in. The power has shifted. Chloe no longer holds the cards. Grandma Helen does. And the truth will out. Helen has spent weeks watching Chloe, learning her patterns, her behavior, the way she manipulates everyone around her. Each conversation with Ryan, each moment alone with him, was another piece of the puzzle falling into place. Now, it's time to turn the tables. The trap is set, and Grandma Helen is the one in control. Her first step was simple but effective. She'd invited Chloe to tea in the garden, a casual setting that would put the fiancé at ease. It was a carefully calculated move. Helen knew Chloe wouldn't hesitate to show her true colors once she thought she was the one in charge. What Helen needed was a moment where Chloe would feel confident, overconfident even, where she would reveal more than she intended. The garden is quiet now, the sun beginning to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows over the flowers that Helen has tended to with love for years. She walks across the yard, her steps slow but purposeful. She can hear Chloe's voice in the distance, laughing with Ryan as they make their way toward the table. Helen takes her seat, folding her hands in her lap, her expression calm, betraying none of the nervous tension running through her. She has to get this right. This is the moment when everything changes. Chloe arrives at the table, her radiant smile plastered on her face. But there's something different about her today. She's on edge. The previous days of tension between them are evident in the way Chloe avoids Helen's gaze, the way she constantly adjusts her posture, but Helen doesn't acknowledge it. She only watches Chloe, eyes sharp with the knowledge she's been waiting to expose. Good evening, Grandma Helen, Chloe says sweetly, taking her seat across from Helen, though her voice falters ever so slightly. I'm glad we could finally sit down and have a chat. Helen smiles politely, but it's her eyes that speak volumes. It's been a while, hasn't it, Chloe? She says softly, her tone almost warm. You've become quite comfortable here, haven't you? In this family. Chloe chuckles nervously, her fingers fidgeting with the edge of her teacup. Of course I love spending time with Ryan. I mean, he's been so good to me. We're starting our lives together after all. Starting your life together. Helen repeats the phrase slowly, her gaze unwavering. You know, Ryan deserves so much. He's always been such a kind boy, and he's been through a lot. She pauses, letting the words hang in the air. I just hope you understand what you're getting into. Chloe's smile tightens, her unease evident now. She shifts in her seat, clearly trying to maintain control of the conversation. I think I know exactly what I'm getting into, Grandma Helen. I love Ryan, and I want to build a future with him. Nothing more, nothing less. Helen doesn't flinch. She's been patient. She's been quiet. But now the moment has arrived to strike. She leans forward slightly, her voice dropping to a softer, more intimate level. That's good to hear, Chloe. But love isn't always about what we want. Sometimes it's about what we're willing to give up, what we're willing to sacrifice for the people we care about. And from what I've seen, I don't think you've been willing to sacrifice anything for Ryan. In fact, I think you've been willing to sacrifice him." Chloe's eyes widen for a brief moment, but she quickly masks her surprise with a forced laugh. "What are you talking about, Helen? I love him, and I've been nothing but kind to him." Helen raises an eyebrow, her gaze steady. "Kind, is that what you call it?" she asks, her voice dropping lower. "Because I've seen what you've been doing behind his back. I know what you've been planning. You thought I wouldn't notice, didn't you?" Chloe's breath catches in her throat, the faintest hint of panic creeping into her posture, but she forces a smile even as her hands tremble slightly. "I don't know what you're talking about, Helen. You're just being paranoid. You've always been protective of Ryan, but I'm the woman he loves. I'm the one who will be by his side." Helen's lips curl into a knowing smile. "And that's where you're wrong, Chloe. Because you've been using him, haven't you? You've been playing him for his money, for his family's wealth. I know what you've been doing." For a second, the mask slips. Chloe's eyes dart away, her face going pale, the cracks in her carefully crafted persona starting to show. She doesn't know what to say, and Helen presses on, her voice firm and unwavering. "I know about the burner phone. I know about the messages, and I know how you plan to ruin him, to take everything he has." Helen lets the words hang in the air like a weight that Chloe can't escape from. Chloe stands up abruptly, her chair scraping against the stone, her hands clenched into fists at her sides. "You don't know anything," she hisses, her voice trembling with rage. "You're nothing but a meddling old woman who's been living in this house for far too long. Ryan doesn't need you anymore. He's going to choose me. He's going to be mine." Helen doesn't rise from her seat. She remains calm, her gaze fixed on Chloe with quiet intensity. "You're right about one thing. Ryan doesn't need me anymore. He's grown, but I'm not the one he'll choose in the end. You've already lost, because you don't love him. You never did. You were just after his money." Chloe's face contorts with fury, but the fire in her eyes fades slightly as Helen continues to speak, her words sharp and deliberate. "You thought I wouldn't find out, didn't you? You thought you could manipulate me, manipulate Ryan without anyone noticing. But you were wrong. You made a mistake underestimating me." Helen leans back, her hands resting on the table, "and now you'll pay for it." The silence that follows is heavy, the tension thick in the air. Chloe's anger is palpable, but beneath it, there's something else. A growing sense of fear. She realizes too late that she's been caught. Helen has outsmarted her, and there's no escape now. The fiancé's facade has cracked, and the truth has been exposed. Helen stands up slowly, her posture regal and confident. "The game's over, Chloe, and it's time for you to leave." Chloe stands frozen, her confidence shattered, her dreams crumbling around her. She had thought she could outsmart the grandmother, but it's clear now. The tables have turned. The woman she underestimated has just claimed victory, and with that, Helen knows she has won. Ryan stood in the grand hallway, staring at the closed door of the study. His mind was a storm, a whirlwind of disbelief and guilt. The images of the burner phone, the secret messages, and Grandma's unwavering determination to expose Chloe's lies replayed in his mind like a broken record. He had failed. He had trusted her, believed in her love, when all along, it was never love. It was manipulation. Helen's voice echoed in his ears, the calm yet unwavering way she'd confronted him, calling out Chloe's plans, the betrayal that had been festering beneath his nose. He had been too blind, too wrapped up in his own desires to see the truth. Now, standing in the midst of the aftermath, Ryan realized the magnitude of the damage he had caused. He had hurt the woman who had been a mother to him, the one who had stayed by his side through thick and thin, the woman who loved him enough to risk everything to protect him, all for a woman who had only seen him as a stepping stone. He had let his arrogance cloud his judgment, thinking that he could solve everything with charm, wealth, and control. But it wasn't enough, not when the truth came crashing down like a tidal wave. He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated with himself. How had he not seen it? How had he let her worm her way into his life, into his trust, without questioning her motives? Chloe had played him like a pawn, and in doing so, she had threatened the very foundation of everything his family had built. The weight of his mistakes was suffocating. Turning to the study door, he finally pushed it open, stepping into the room where Grandma sat, waiting with a calm, composed demeanor. The tension between them was palpable, but Ryan could feel the love that had always existed between them, even through the anger and betrayal. She had saved him again. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice thick with regret. "I should have listened. I should have trusted you." Helen looked at him, her expression softening. "Ryan, you didn't have to apologize. I did what I did because I love you. You're like a son to me." His eyes filled with tears. "I was so blind. I let her in. I was so caught up in the idea of her, in the idea of us, that I didn't see what she was doing." Helen stood and walked over to him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You weren't the only one who was deceived. We all are sometimes. The important thing is that you see the truth now. You understand what's at stake, and you'll learn from this. You're not the same man you were yesterday." Ryan looked into her eyes, finally understanding the depth of her loyalty and love. "I don't deserve your forgiveness. I don't deserve any of this." Helen smiled gently. "You don't need to deserve it, Ryan. That's what family is. Loyalty and love aren't about deserving. They're about being there for each other, no matter the mistakes." The exposure of Chloe's lies shattered everything. The fiancé's carefully constructed facade crumbled as the truth came out. Her manipulations, her schemes, her betrayal of Ryan's trust. Her sweet words had been nothing but a weapon, a tool she used to get closer to the family fortune. When the full extent of her deceit was revealed, the damage was irreversible. Ryan had to make a choice. Chloe, unable to deny the truth, became a shadow of her former self, humiliated, exposed, and ultimately forced to leave the Sterling family. Her departure marked the beginning of the family's long road to healing, but the scars remained. The trust that had been broken would take time to rebuild. Despite the turmoil, the family began to heal, and Ryan slowly started to see the value of the loyalty he had once taken for granted. His bond with Helen deepened, and he came to appreciate the strength and resilience she had shown, both in protecting him and in keeping the family intact. She had never asked for anything in return, yet she had given everything. For Grandma, revenge wasn't about making Chloe suffer. It wasn't about vengeance or retribution in the traditional sense. It was far more powerful than that. Helen's revenge was quiet, subtle, and infinitely more effective. She had won back the family's trust. In the aftermath, when the media storm passed and Chloe was long gone, Grandma stepped into the role she had always held in the Sterling family, an unwavering pillar of support, wisdom, and love. But this time it was different. She had no need to prove herself. She had already proven everything that needed proving. Her final act of revenge wasn't about taking Chloe down physically or financially. It was about showing that truth and loyalty had far more power than any manipulation. She had outwitted the fiancé and exposed her for who she truly was. In doing so, she had saved Ryan and the family from disaster, preserving not only their wealth but their integrity. In the quiet moments that followed Chloe's departure, as Ryan began to rebuild his life, he came to realize the real value of what Grandma had done. It wasn't just about protecting him from a gold digger. It was about teaching him the true meaning of loyalty, family, and love. She had shown him that while blood may be thicker than water, trust and loyalty were what truly bound people together. In a world full of deceit, Grandma had been the one constant, the one true thing Ryan could count on. And in the end, as Grandma watched Ryan move forward with a new understanding of the world, she felt the quiet satisfaction of knowing that she had played her part. She had redeemed her family, and in the process, had taught them the most important lesson of all. Loyalty and truth were worth far more than wealth or power. Her final act of revenge was complete, not in a moment of triumph, but in the quiet, enduring love she had always shown. The family would never be the same, but it would be stronger for it. And that, to Grandma, was the greatest victory of all. The family, once fractured and lost in turmoil, began to rebuild after the storm had passed. Grandma Helen had quietly stepped back, watching from the sidelines as Ryan navigated the fallout. She had done what she set out to do: protect her family, safeguard their future, and expose the betrayal that had threatened everything they held dear. But now she didn't seek credit or attention. In her heart, she knew her role was complete. She had never expected accolades. She never wanted them. Her satisfaction lay in the small, quiet victories. The way Ryan had started to appreciate the value of loyalty, how he had begun to understand what truly mattered in life. She had played her part, and that was enough for her. Grandma was content, knowing that her sacrifice had sparked change, not just in the family's fortunes, but in their hearts. She kept to herself, as she always had, quietly tending to her garden and her daily routines, finding peace in the simplicity of her life. But every now and then, she would catch a glimpse of Ryan in the distance, watching him move forward with a newfound understanding, and she would smile to herself. Her work was done. Ryan, now free of the shadow that had once clouded his judgment, took long, thoughtful walks around the estate, reflecting on the lessons he had learned. He had thought he understood the value of family, but he hadn't truly known it until now. It wasn't just about shared blood or inherited wealth. It was about trust, loyalty, and the people who stayed by your side when everything else seemed to fall apart. He had learned the hard way that love, when tested, wasn't always enough to hold everything together, but loyalty, that deep, unwavering loyalty, was what could weather even the toughest storms. And that was the lesson Grandma had shown him, through her silence, her strength, and her quiet acts of love. Ryan felt the weight of his mistakes, but he also felt the liberation that came with understanding them. He had been blind, but now his eyes were open. He was ready to reclaim his family's legacy, not just as a businessman, but as a man who valued the people who had helped him build it. He promised himself, as he stood in the old family study, that he would never again take loyalty for granted. He would rebuild, not just his company, but the bonds that mattered most. He would do better, be better, for the sake of those who had always been there for him, like Grandma. In the quiet solitude of her garden, Grandma Helen reflected on everything that had transpired. There had been no grand gestures, no public praise, but there had been something more important: peace. She had ensured that love, loyalty, and justice had been handled in her own quiet, dignified way, and that was enough for her. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the flowers she had nurtured for years, Helen took a deep breath, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. Her family was whole again, and she had done her part. For the first time in a long while, Grandma felt a sense of contentment that came not from achieving anything monumental, but from knowing that she had protected the ones she loved. The story had come full circle. The battle had been fought, and the war had been won. Now she could rest in the knowledge that she had safeguarded their future, ensuring that love and loyalty would endure for generations to come. And so, the story comes to an end, but the lessons we've learned along the way are far from finished. What would you have done if you were in Grandma Helen's shoes? Would you have stood up against the betrayal, fought for what was right, or quietly let it all unfold? We want to hear your thoughts. Comment below and share how you think loyalty and love should be protected, even in the face of betrayal. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stories of resilience and quiet strength, and share this video with someone who needs to hear about the power of standing up for what's right. no matter how quietly it's done. Grandma Helen's story is one of quiet strength. It's easy to think that revenge must be loud, that it must be dramatic and grand. But in reality, the most powerful form of revenge is often the one that doesn't need to be seen or heard at all. It's the one that doesn't demand recognition. It's the one that doesn't burn with anger, but is instead fueled by love and loyalty, by doing what's right, not for applause, but for the simple peace of knowing the truth has been set free. In the end, Grandma didn't need to yell or scream to make her mark. She didn't need to tear down those who had wronged her or her family. Her revenge was in her silence, in her strength, in the subtle ways she protected the ones she loved. She didn't need to take the spotlight because she knew her actions would speak louder than any words ever could. Sometimes, it's the quietest actions that change everything. So the next time you find yourself in a situation where the stakes are high and the world is watching, remember Grandma's lesson. Strength isn't always loud. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is to stand tall in the silence, trusting that your quiet strength will be the force that ultimately wins. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay strong, stay true, and always protect the ones who matter most.